Hi everyone, I'm so happy to welcome you all to our history class. We have already completed the first chapter in history part, that is the rise of nationalism in Europe. And now we are going to learn about the second chapter, that is nationalism in India. Nationalism in India. Let us discuss. Nationalism in India. Under this title, the first topic we are going to learn about the First World War, Khilafat movement, non-cooperation movement, and these are to be covered the first topic under the heading Nationalism in India. In India, the growth of modern nationalism is connected to the anti-colonial movement. Especially, the modern nationalism in India is connected to the anti-colonial movement. What is anti-colonial movement? What is colonial movement? What is anti-colonial movement? In India, anti-colonial movement started by the Indians against the colonial powers. What are the colonial powers here? British, French, Dutch. These are the colonial powers. So the Indians who had started their movement against these colonial powers, and this movement that was started by the Indians against all these colonial powers are called anti-colonial movement. So here our nationalism in India is connected to the anti-colonial movement. So whenever the Britishers came to India and occupied our land and began to rule India, then the people in India suffered a lot. Nearly they ruled India for more than 200 long years. So during this time, the Indians suffered a lot. That's why they have started a movement against the colonial powers. And this movement was known as anti-colonial movement against the British. We have started a movement. So there, the spirit of nationalism started among the Indians. And previously, there was no spirit of nationalism among the Indians. That's why the colonial powers took it as an advantage and came to India and they grabbed the political power in India. But now, when the people suffered, Indians developed the spirit of nationalism. So this spirit of nationalism which is connected to the anti-colonial movement. So in India, the growth and modern nationalism is connected to the anti-colonial movement. Now, let us discuss what is nationalism. Nationalism is a political concept and it is an innate feeling of the people for their nation. And in other words, it is the feeling of love for one's own country. It is the feeling of pride for one's own country. And it is the strong desire or feeling of the people towards their nation. When the people have this strong desire or feeling towards their nation, and that can be termed as a nationalism. So nationalism is a political concept. It is an innate feeling of the people for their nation. We as Indians generally, we love our country. We respect it. And we take, we feel proud of our country because we have the spirit of, nationalism. So this kind of feeling which is termed as nationalism. So nationalism is an innate feeling of the people for their nation. And it is the strong desire or feeling of the people towards their nation. That means when we love our own nation, it is a kind of spirit of nationalism. So here it is the strong desire or feeling of the people towards their nation, my dear children. So that is called nationalism. Many elements generally like a common land, common language, common race, common culture, common religion, common history, and common political ideals. All these elements which can promote the spirit of nationalism. Again, I say elements like common land, common language, common race, common culture, common religion, common history, common political ideals, etc., promote nationalism. When people have common language, and generally that promotes the spirit of oneness among the people. When the people have common culture, and that promotes a feeling of unity or oneness among those people. So that's why here all these elements, my dear children, such as common land, common language, common race, common culture, common religion, common history, common political ideals, and all these elements which binds the people together will be a strong force. So all these elements ultimately all these elements promote a spirit of oneness or a spirit of nationalism among the people. So India, as far as India is concerned, we have common history, we have a common culture. So these things had promoted the spirit of nationalism among Indians. That's why we fought against the colonial powers. With this spirit, we fought against the colonial powers. The First World War that took place between 1914 and 1918, the First World War created a new economic and political situation worldwide. It brought several changes in the world. It had created a new economic and political situation worldwide. So the First World War, during the First World War, the prices of food grains increased during the war years, my dear children. Prices of all the essential food items or food grains shot up, increased during the war years. As a result, the poor people, common people, were the worst sufferers because of the price rise. Whenever the prices shot up, so poor people were unable to afford them. Poor people are unable to purchase the food grains even. So common people, poor people were the worst sufferers because of the price rise. And after the end of the war, Indian industries faced heavy losses. And Indians incurred heavy losses, especially the industries. Indian industries faced heavy losses, and people suffered an acute shortage of food. As a result of this First World War, people experienced an acute shortage of food. There was an acute shortage of food grains even in India. So industries were badly damaged, and the industries faced heavy losses. Indian industries faced heavy losses, and people suffered an acute shortage of food. And besides this, influenza epidemic disease erupted. So influenza epidemic further aggravated the situation or the problem, my dear. This epidemic also aggravated the problem. And according to 1921 census, it is said that about 12 to 13 million people died because of the famines and epidemic, my dear. According to 1921 census, which revealed that nearly 12 to 13 million people died because of famine and this epidemic. And this took place after the First World War, my dear children. Next, the idea of Satyagraha. Mahatma Gandhi returned to India from South Africa in the year 1915. Mahatma Gandhi, who practiced his law in South Africa, and after that, Mahatma Gandhi returned to India from South Africa in the year 1915. And his heroic fight for the Indians in South Africa was well known while he was practicing his law and in South Africa. So he fought, his heroic fight for the Indians in South Africa was well known because he fought on the side of the Indians against the white government in South Africa. And his novel method of agitation based on truth and non-violence. And he followed a great weapon, or he followed a great method. What is that method? That is non-violence. His novel method of agitation based on truth and non-violence, which was known as Satyagraha. And this novel method of agitation that was started by Mahatma Gandhi was known as Satyagraha. And this agitation mainly based upon truth and non-violence, because Mahatma Gandhi stood for peace. He stood for peace. He shunned violence. So he cleaved to non-violence. That's why his agitation mainly based on truth and non-violence. That's why it was known as Satyagraha. And this Satyagraha that had yielded good results. Yes. And he fought bravely against the British with this great weapon. The weapon is non-violence. Not violence, but non-violence. In 1916, Gandhiji traveled to Champaran. Champaran is a place, a village in Bihar. So in the year 1916, when he had arrived to India, in 1915 he came to India, and later, the next year 1916, Gandhiji traveled to Champaran, a village in Bihar, to inspire the peasants to struggle against the oppressive indigo planters. Because there in Champaran, where the indigo planters were exploited by the British contractors. Okay, our Indian indigo planters were exploited. They were deceived and cheated by the British businessmen, British contractors. That's why they faced a lot of problems. So the riots of the farmers in Champaran appealed to Mahatma Gandhi to come and solve their problems. So in the year 1916, Gandhiji traveled to Champaran in Bihar to inspire the peasants to struggle against the oppressive indigo planters. So Mahatma Gandhi, he was successful in this Champaran movement. That was the first success for him in India. And later, peasants movement in Khadar district, Gujarat, in the year 1917. Peasants movement also started in Khadar district in Gujarat in the year 1917, where the farmers did not have sufficient food grains. And not only that, their crops failed. Okay, their crops were totally failed. Yet they had to pay taxes to the government. And that's why the peasants in Khadar district requested Mahatma Gandhi to come and help them. So Mahatma Gandhi went there in the year 1917, Khadar district in 1917, and helped the farmers, and he advised them not to pay any revenue or taxes to the British government. And that was also another success for Mahatma Gandhi. And the third one, that is mill workers movement, that was started in Ahmedabad in the year 1918. Mill workers movement was started in Ahmedabad in the year 1918, my dear children. So in all these movements, in the mill workers who fought for better wages and good working hours, so they were not paid at all properly. So that's why Mahatma Gandhi went to Ahmedabad and took part in that movement. In all these instances, we can see Mahatma Gandhi led these movement or led these agitations only through non-violence. So non-violence, that is the powerful weapon that he had used against the British, my dear children. And now let me tell you about the Rowlatt Act. Rowlatt Act. Let me tell you about the Rowlatt Act. Rowlatt Act was passed by the British Imperial Legislative Council in the year 1919. And this act gave enormous powers. And this Rowlatt Act gave enormous powers, more powers to the British government to repress political activities. All the political activities in India were suppressed by the British government with the help of this Rowlatt Act. And this Rowlatt Act was made in the year 1919 by the British. So this act gave numerous powers, enormous powers to the British government to repress political activities in India. What this act says? According to this act, my dear children, the political prisoners could be detained in prison for 2 years without any trial. Yes, according to this act, the political prisoners could be detained in prison for 2 years without any trial. So this act, the act of Rowlatt, the Rowlatt Act of 1919 gave tremendous powers to the British police. So they could arrest any person without any trial. They can put them in jail for 2 years. And this is this power the British got according to Rowlatt Act of 1919. The British police got enormous powers by the Act of Rowlatt. So the Rowlatt Act of 1919 gave enormous powers to the British police to repress political activities, and as a result, thousands of our Indians were arrested and they were put in prison. Gandhiji launched a nationwide Satyagraha against the Rowlatt Act on 6th April 1919. Mahatma Gandhi could not bear this. That's why he launched a nationwide Satyagraha against this Rowlatt Act on 6th April in the year 1919. So when he gave a call, thousands and lakhs of people responded, and people observed fast, and they organized hartals, strikes, okay, yes, in front of the government offices, and several local leaders were arrested. As a result, what happened? Several local leaders were arrested, and Gandhiji was barred from entering Delhi. Okay, he tried to enter Delhi, but he was barred from entering Delhi. So a big agitation that started by Mahatma Gandhi on 6th April 1919 against the Rowlatt Act. Okay, my dear children, and in the next video I shall tell you about the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, one of the famous tragedy, one of the famous event in the history of our national struggle. And in the next video I shall tell you about this. Okay, till then keep on reading your textbook. Okay, my dear children, bye.